Multiple rounds of bullring-style courses have left our drivers wound up and looking for release, and what better place to let the engines roar than the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit? Will the racing calm down and our drivers have a measured day, or will chaos reign supreme again around the British countryside? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 9 of the iRacing IMSA Vintage series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. I am Adam Lindgren, and with me in the booth is Jeremy Scott. In the truck are directors Christian Deploy and Daniel Costello, and they're using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Silverstone needs no introduction, but if you're unaware as to why, let's take you down to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Silverstone. Most famously known for being the first circuit to host a round of Formula One, this place has since become synonymous with British motorsports. Hosting everything from sports cars to touring cars to open wheels and even motorcycles, it's a track that fits a wide variety of vehicles. With 3 different layouts to choose from, you've got a little something for any level of racing. The longest of those layouts boasts 18 turns along 3.19 miles. That comes out to 5.13 kilometers in metrics, so it can take a bit to get around it, even in higher-powered machinery. Its main characteristics are the high-speed straights and corners and general lack of elevation change. Its most famous set of turns is most definitely the Maggots-Beckett sequence, in which anything with high downforce finds itself challenged with the rapid changes of direction. However, don't discount the first couple corners in this latest iteration of the track. Abbey and Farm often require a greatly balanced car and some serious bravery if you're side by side. Corners such as Village, Brooklyn, Stowe, and Vale see the majority of overtaking action, but in cars with less horsepower, expect the draft to offer other opportunities. The Hangar Straight is perhaps the most notorious for draft battles to erupt. All in all, this versatile racetrack located just northwest of London provides both history in its roots and action on the tarmac. The huge number of British fans that typically attend events are seldom left wanting.
Well, Jeremy, this place is legendary for a reason. What is it like to drive around here, and what do our drivers need to look out for today?
Well, a lot of it has to deal with the long straights. Of course, we know that over the years, this track has gone several changes, and I think this GP circuit is probably my favorite. A lot of negotiation around Maggots and Beckett's. You've got Stowe and Club, which will be probably the most important corners heading on to the Hamilton Straight, but nonetheless, 6, 7, and 8 going through Luffield, Adam, I think is probably also a great test of driver determination, and with the longer straights, I think that we're going to see these GTO and GTP cars really stretch their legs.
Absolutely, and another stretch has been the lead of both classes. GTP's Jacob Reed currently leads with 172 points over Jack Wells, 136. That's a 36-point gap for the two of them. We have Seamus Power, who's in 3rd position, tucked in behind there with 119, and then it's a big gap back down to Farron Grau as well with 94 points. At which point it is very close between Grau and Cal Young, just 7 points separating them, and then fairly close between Ilka Coldexalo and Brendan Lim as well, 4 points separating them. And that's just another 4 points back to Antti Lepisto, and then Davide Ricciardi and Arto Iamaki round out the top 10 in the GTPs. But Jeremy, what about the GTO Championship?
Yeah, Audris Valentus has really been looking really good. He's won all but 2 races so far this season. He has 184 points in the bag, 32 points. Jorham Van Hixie also looking not too bad. He is our most recent winner. And of course, the other winner in this class so far this year, Noel Lundberg. He's 46 points back, but everybody's chasing Valentus, who is your GTO leader. Then it's Mickey Friesen, Javier Del Olmo back about 92 points in 5th. Andreas Schuster back 95 points, so a tight battle there for 4th on down. Then you've got Doug Cloud, Fabian Youngblood, Josh Brain, and Jack David Spickett rounds out your top 10. Only 110 points behind, but Adam, with a 25-point win, it's going to be tough for some of these drivers to move up, except that little 4th through 7th clock.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's going to be a challenge for all the drivers to try and make much progress against Andres Valentus for sure. But let's take it down to our race details. It is race 9 of 12 for these drivers, 40 minutes out there with open setups and no spare vehicle. They've got a drive throughout 17 incidents and a disqualification at 25, and those can get easily racked up here around Silverstone. Even though it's a wide track, you can find yourself off track very easily if you don't take the corners just right. We're now into our qualifying session out there for our drivers, and it's going to be a tense qualifying for these drivers given how challenging this track is to get right. You make one mistake in one corner and you pay for it for the next 3 or 5.
Exactly. This is a driver's track, to say the least. You really need to be on your limit. 40 minutes isn't a lot, but really it is a lot for just trying to stay on. You take a look at the overhead, you see you mess up in one corner, and it could affect you for the next 2-3 corners, because this is a very flowing circuit.
Absolutely, it's a flowing circuit. 5 minutes left in qualifying, and you can see the weather is very, very low out there for these drivers, and none of them have yet to set a time in our qualifying session. They have 2 laps to do, but this track's so long, it takes them a while to get started out there. Jacob Reed in the number 2 machine out there, Andres Valentus in the number 1, both of them in different classes. But it makes sense as to why they're the top of the championship. This is an iRacing official series, so those rankings are by iRating, and those are the 2 championship leaders, the highest iRating drivers in the split.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they end up throughout the race. But Valentus, as we've seen throughout the past couple of weeks, really has been on point, as we see Jacob Reed making his way around in that number 2 Nissan. I love the livery, especially for this weekend, being that we are in the territory of Lotus, and already seen some times pop up on the timing chart.
Absolutely, Toka Sada currently holds provisional pole position by almost 2/10 over Aitor Sintes Glendo. Our GTPs obviously going to be the first ones to set their qualifying times. First driver to set a qualifying time in the GTOs is going to be Javier Del Olmo in the number 17 machine. He's just coming through the last couple of corners now. We see Jacob Reed there in the number 2 machine. His qualifying time did not get counted just yet, and he's about to come into the very legendary Maggotts and Beckett sequence, sweeping through the series of switchbacks that really provides a challenge for these drivers, especially in the GTPs, to keep the traction down. Here we see our provisional pole sitter Togo Hisada on his second lap. Togo Hisada here going through the Maggotts and Beckett sequence, or approaching the Maggotts and Beckett sequence himself. Javier Del Olmo is currently on provisional pole position over Joram Van Hicks in the second position. And we've got Andreas Schuster very close to Van Hicks. He's only separated by about 2/100ths of a second there for the drivers. So Toga Hisada coming through now under the Johnny Walker Bridge, going to go through the right-hand corner here. Very long, sweeping right-hand corner. Very much a challenge for the drivers to take, but Togo with plenty of room out there, and he's going to take it to the pits. He does not like his second lap, and his first one still has him on provisional pole position. Here is Javier Del Olmo, current pole sitter for the GTOs, with Joram Van Hicks about a quarter of a second behind. As we said, Andreas Schuster still tucked in there behind him, and all the GTOs and GTPs who have gone out there early on, and you need to get out there early on because of how long these laps are, have already made their laps, and we still have a good 12 drivers who have yet to set a qualifying time.
Yeah, and you want to get out there soon because of the simple fact the lap is so long around here, and it's going to take just a little bit to get up there, get that warm-up lap. You want to get in just under 1 second so you can at least get up there. But with as we said, 40 minutes, it's not a lot of time, so you want to be up near the front. Oh, look at that little wiggle out of Del Olmo as he comes around to complete that qualifying lap. He has enough time for at least one more. Let's see what he does. His fastest time so far, 2:01.1 across the line, 2 minute point. It's at 0.97, but as we know with timing, that could change pretty quickly, and he goes to the top of GTO.
Absolutely, he goes to the top of the GTO, so Javier Del Olmo still up there. Andreas Schuster was able to jump past a couple of the drivers, and Ove Trangrate almost sets the provisional pole position, misses out by only 4/100ths of a second. Romain Bello currently in 8th position, trying to improve his qualifying time, so he's not going to have anything happen. Fabian Jungbluth has yet to set his qualifying time. He's on lap 1 and currently trying to lap around there. He's coming down onto the long straightaway at the back of the circuit. And so he's going to dive under the Johnny Walker Bridge for the first time today and try and set it on 1 lap. The weather out there is not cold, but it is very dark, and if these cars could do rain tires, I'm assuming it would be raining out there today right now, Jeremy.
Yeah, going down Vale, he'll set himself up if he gets to the line in time. He might have time for one more, but we've seen a lot of these drivers get 1, maybe 2 laps, but coming around club to complete the lap. Again, the fast time for GTO, 2:01.043 across line, 2:02.7 out of Youngbluth, and he's just going to call it quits. Now Jack Wells makes his turn around Stowe to make his qualifying lap. About 15 seconds left. Adam, let's see what he can do. His fast time, 41.4.
Absolutely. He's currently in 3rd position. He's only 2/100ths away from Heitor Sintes Galindo in 2nd. He's going to come around the final corner. Did he get the off track there? The question will be answered in a moment. The answer is no. He does jump Sintes Galindo, and that will take us to the end of qualifying. 6 drivers did not qualify today, and they're going to start at the back of the pack. But at the front of the pack is going to be Togo Hisada on pole position with Jack Wells next to him in row 2, starting off the GTP field. Heitor Sintes Galindo is going to line up behind Togo, with Cal Young lining up behind Jack Wells. Row 3 goes to Farron Grau with Nick Bacanos next to him, with Raul Roches Guardia and Fernando Serrato on row 4. The top 10 are going to be rounded out by Ardo Iamaki and Hennig Schwebig. Then we got Timothy Reed in 11th position and Gabri Martinez next to him in 12th. Laust Olsen starts off row 7 next to Seamus Power, with Brendan Lim and Davide Ricciardi. Rounding out row 8, Antonio Alvarez in 17th and Daniel Gomez in 18th, with Matthew Cockram 19th and Andre Felipe Diaz, last driver on this screen, starting off in the 20th position. And then we've got a couple of other drivers left to go. It's going to be Juan Jose Suarez as well as Francisco Collado. And then we've got Charles Wolfe, the last driver to set a qualifying time, with Jacob Reed, surprisingly, Cesar Hernandez, and Luis Soto Rivera, rounding out your 26 GTPs here today. Jeremy, what about the GTO starting grid?
Yeah, we got a good field for the GTOs. Javier Del Olmo, your fastest qualifier there, with a 2:01.043. Ove Trengereed with a 2:01.079. Then you've got row 2 of the GTOs with Jack David Spickett alongside Andrea Schuster. In 14th row overall, it's Mickey Friesen alongside Johan Van Hixie. Then it's Christoph Olenjak alongside Doug Cloud. That'll make up the 4th row of the GTOs. That's Josh Brain and Romain Bello in row 5. Bello with a 2:02.067. On to the next row, we're seeing Martin Krajcik and Fabian Youngbluth. Then row 7, Federico Callejo alongside Hugh Messenger in row 7. Brandon White, Emerson Gaudin is they're both in row 19. So it'll be row 8. Martin Enrique Rivera was the last driver to take time at a 2:05.009. Valentin Hayes, the points leader, will start from the back. Then it'll be Mika Tupola, Pau Armesto, also making the field in GTO.
Absolutely. 20 GTOs, 26 GTPs, 46 drivers on the track today, and a quick couple of turns before they jump into this race. Jeremy, it's going to be a tense race out there today. There's a decent amount of cars on track. What are your expectations as we head through the final corner?
Well, hopefully we won't see too much of a mess we see the past couple of weeks with the IMSA Vintage. We see a nice split between the GTPs and GTOs. I'm ready for 40 minutes of racing.
And Jack Wells is too. He leaps to the 4 right off of the gate. Is going to go as well as Togo Hisada. So both of them stringing it out, with Heitor Sintes Galindo and Cal Young running in behind, as well as Farron Grau. So they absolutely caught the rest of the GTP field napping, and that's going to string them out single file as they head through the first couple of turns. No drama there. What about the GTOs?
Yeah, Javier Del Olmo takes the field down to the green flag. He's got a good advantage. Spigot making his way up to second already, but Tranger Reed already trying to keep that second place. They're side by side going through the first couple of corners, and you see a nice little clump there near the back. Well, we're looking so good. One car way wide. That looks like the 11 of Youngblood, and he's able to get it righted, but so far so good. This battle for second between Traeger Reed and Spicket really heating up. Looks like Spicket has it as a little bit of a wiggle there near the back.
Yeah, Traeger Reed absolutely sliding it through the corners. I think he has a technical issue because he can't get that car recovered, so Traeger Reed hits the inside wall. That's going to more or less end his day as far as competitiveness is concerned. That moves Jack David Spicket up to second position with Javier Del Olmo in third. And take a look at this battle here between Joram Van Hicks in fifth position, tucked in behind Mickey Friesen, trying to battle it out for that fourth position.
Yeah, Friesen, he's looking to get into that spot. Jack also looking for a position as well. He's one of the drivers that wants to make it up near the front, but looks like Del Olmo and Spicket 1 and 2. They're starting to walk away from the field. Schuster also trying to do his best to hold off Friesen. That's the battle for third place. Friesen in that purple number 15, trying to look every way he can, going through Maggots and Beckett's. You don't want to go side by side through here, especially at the start of the race, because really the tires, they're just not ready yet. But nonetheless, we see everybody single file through Beckett's, heading into the hangar straight for the first time at speed.
For those keeping track of our last to first challengers, that would be Andres Valentus in the GTOs and Jacob Reed in the GTPs. Valentus is already up to 10th position in the GTOs, and Reed up to 21st in the GTPs. Here's what happened to Traeger Reed. He loses it the first time, and then he comes around the second corner and loses it again. And at this point, you keep your foot in and you steer right lock, and usually the car recovers. Not this time. Ove Traeger Reed hits the inside wall. That's major front left damage, and he's now trying to recover 3.5 seconds behind the field.
Yeah, that's not a good start for this sprint race, as Del Olmo trying to do his best to hold off Spicket. That's a battle for the lead. Schuster and Friesen. Also, actually, I should say Friesen trying to hold off Van Hicks for fourth place, as Schuster has opened up just a little bit of a gap side by side, going through Village in the loop, I should say, as that is your couple of battles that we're watching. But look at the battle for the lead. Spicket trying to round off that corner just a little bit tighter so he can get some better speed off Del Olmo. Not going to happen, as they're down the Wellington straight, nose to tail. Spicket looking to the inside. Battle for the GTO lead early on. Give it to Spicket early, but Del Olmo, he's not going to have too much to say, as Spicket already opens up maybe a half car length.
Great move for Jack David Spicket. He got that run like you mentioned, Jeremy, and Del Olmo, there's nothing he could do. Del Olmo, though, he's looking in his rearview mirror and at the timing screen, and he's seeing something that he doesn't want to see, and that is Andres Valentus up to 8th position already. He knows that if he battles it out with Jack David Spicket right now, they're going to have no chance at winning this race with the pace that Valentus has had over the last couple of weeks. So these two, Del Olmo realizing that the battle is not now, the battle's going to be later with Valentus, and he's deciding to save it for another day. Up in the GTPs, the lead of the GTPs is Togo Hisada over Jack Wells. It's 0.8 of a second, and actually our top 10 are still tucked in together under 5.5 seconds. You can see them there. They're still line astern, and they're about halfway around the track compared to the GTOs, so it's still going to be another 2 laps before they have traffic.
And I think that's what is preservation right now, as you're going to see these GTP cars kind of hold stern, as you said, until they have to get in the lap traffic. Then they can use these GTOs to pick. Valentus actually just improving yet another position. He's gotten around Brain for another spot, so move him up 12 spots from the start. But watching this battle for, looks like 5th, 6th place, Mukanos trying to do all he can to stay in line in the number 16. Right ahead of him is Grau in the number 18. We go back to the battle for the lead for GTOs as well. That is Del Olmo, who's second place. We saw how quick he was, but he's really trying to hold steady with Spicket. Spicket, your leader so far, with Del Olmo in second. Schuster, don't count him out either, in third place.
Absolutely, and it's actually the top 10 all tucked underneath, about 4 seconds in the GTOs as well. So very close battles and not a lot of gap being given across both fields. So when the GTPs do cut through the GTOs, it's going to be a real challenge for them to get by, given how compressed this Audi field is. Here is Valentus, and let's take a look and see what's happening here with Charles Wolfe. This was an incident that happened earlier on And this was between Charles Wolfe and Luis Soto Riviera. Here it is. There's the contact, major contact with the side of that machine. And unfortunately for Rivera and for Charles Wolfe, both of them are off. Look at this battle, though, between Valentus, who's taking the fight, to Friesen and Olenek.
Yeah, I was watching that just before we went to that replay, and Valentus really moving up. He's gotten another spot. Now Olenek, he's going to have to deal with Valentus as the two drivers making their way. You got your points leader, and both of them really nice and tight as they go through Maggots and Beckett's down into Stowe.
A little bit of a slide from Heitor Santos Galindo about half a lap ago through Club puts him from the top 5 down to 12th position as we ride on board with Mickey Friesen. Friesen trying to stay on the back of Valentus and possibly follow him through as he's battling with Olenek right now. These drivers battling for the top 5 positions. Valentus starting off the day in the back of the field, I believe it's 17th, and he's up 11 positions up to 7th spot right now, and currently putting pressure on Olenek ahead. You can see Friesen struggling to stay in the wheel tracks.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to stay with Valentus behind you, but discretion's a better part of valor as he tries to look to the inside, but still too far away to make anything happen. Valentus doing all he can to get in the mirrors of Olenek as they work their way around, trying to get himself into the top 5. Again, Valentus, your GTO points leader, as we entered this round of racing. He did not log a time. That's why Valentus really making his way down side by side for position. Valentus is got the line, doesn't have the position yet. Now he does as he works his way around Olenek. Next driver in line, Van Hicks. And of course, with the battle for the lead, it may not be too long till we see another car entered into the discussion.
A good move there from Valentus to get that pass done. The cars have so much understeer that he just put an extra stab of throttle, and there's nothing that Olenek could do to make that defense happen. So a good move from Valentus to get through up to that 5th position. Up ahead, Jorn Van Hicks and Andreas Schuster were side by side for a moment. We just saw that on screen as they went through, as they're going through Maggots and Beckett's now. You can see the GTOs look like they're just hanging on, whereas the GTPs sweep through there very cleanly. And speaking of that, our leaders in the GTPs are now in the traffic of the GTOs.
And now we get to see how the GTPs and GTOs play with one another here. As nice little split there. That's the battle for the lead. Wells trying to get around that GTO traffic and get to Hisada, but this might be the part that Wells really needs to get to the overall and GTP lead. They go down the hangar straight, and Wells tried to look to the inside of Hisada, but Adam, he's playing traffic nice and light.
Absolutely. Back further in the pack, Nick Meccano's falling foul of Raul Rocha's guardian, Fernando Serrato, as he gets caught out a little bit by some of the traffic. There you see the chaos. You can see the GTP starting to come through. You can see the the smoke of the brakes as these drivers try and navigate all this traffic. But yeah, that lead's close, and so are the rest of the battles throughout the field.
And of course, this could also help the GTO traffic as well as you look on the left side of your screen.
Oh, our leaders just got held up. Togo Hisada just got held up by the battle between Fabi Dubluth and Romain Bello. Emerson Gaudin also a part of that battle, but Jack Wells is now stuck behind these guys as Togo Hisada has some clear air. He's going to have to find a way by, but they were side by side. He's going to take it to the inside there of Romain Bello and make that work. But look at this, Cal Young taking the opportunity. He's going to streak by and move into second.
Oh, what a great move by Cal Young as playing traffic. That is how you get through it. Of course, look at this. Wells also trying to get that position back as they go through onto the old Grand Prix front straightaway. As once again, you got to split traffic if you're going to try and be competitive here in GTPs.
Absolutely. That's Farrah Grau, who's now entered the picture as well. Cal Young's left them a little bit in the dust, but look at this, a little bit of a hold up there from Doug Cloud. They're going to split the GTO once again. Doug's going to move out of the way, and we look at Nick Meccano's back in the back of the field as well. He's battling with Raul Rocha's Guardia and Fernando Serrato for that 5th position. They're all trying to make this work. It's a real challenge, and I believe Jack Wells has a penalty.
We'll see what that comes down to here shortly. So we got this battle going on. Got a great battle for second place in GTO. So things with under a half hour left to go, really spicing up here at Silverstone as we start to see an onboard camera from Mukanos as he's going for position ahead of Serrato. Serrato, though, will have to deal with this GTO traffic going through into Club and down the Hamilton Straight.
Oh! A little bit of a push there from Henrik Schwebig, who has been having a little bit of connection issues himself. Nick McConnell has to back off a little bit. That opens the door for Schwebig. And again, Schwebig's going to go up the inside here. There you see it. Nick McConnell is going to cover off that corner as they dip through. Now they're going to be up to the top 10 in the GTOs as they go past Josh Brain, Mickey Friesen, Christopher Lenajek, who's going to dive to the apex. Friesen's apex is taken away from him, so he can't dive to the apex. It's going to affect his battle that he's having with Lenajek as Nick McConnell is going to try and power away and get away from Schwebig, who made that little bit of contact with it, but he has to back off just a little bit as they go onto the straightaway. This gives the opportunity for Schwebig, who's going to look to the outside this time as Nick defends the inside. Can he make this work?
Well, looks like McConnell has the line going into the corner. He's going to defend for now, as we'll see what happens here as we see side by side. You see the outside, then the in-car view here on your screen. It's McConnell, Schwebig going for position. Schwebig falls off just a little bit. Seamus Power also sitting there in wait. A little bit of the light flash trying to get around the GTO traffic as they work their way around the circuit. Wow, that was a nice little defensive move going through cops from Mukanos, as now we go through Maggots and Beckett's, and look at who's closing.
Oh. Sorry, I just watched a move from Aitor Sentes Galindo on Jacob Reed and Ardo Iamaki as he just went past the two of them and a pack of 3 wide GTOs. Jacob Reed and Iamaki now side by side down the straightaway. There you see him going under the bridge. It's the green and yellow paint scheme of Reed, who's trying to catch up to the back of Sentes Galindo. I believe Sentes Galindo has more wings than Reed, as Reed's very tricked out for this race. He's much faster on the straightaways. And man, these battles are going on all over the track right now, and especially in the GTOs, especially in the GTPs, but the GTO battle for third, very tight. We're looking at it now. Joran Van Hicks, Valentus, and Andre Schuster holding third position.
I was just about to say, Adam, I heard some knocking, and it sounded like Valentus trying to enter into the podium discussion right now, as he's got a 0.2 of a second gap between he and Van Hicks for 4th spot, and they're also closing in on Schuster. So we've got a lot of great battles as Valentus goes to the inside of Van Hicks, and now he's got his sights out of the bottom step of the podium for GTO as he dispenses of Van Hicks going on to the Wellington Straight. So let's see what happens. 27 minutes. Anything can happen as we're seeing a lot of GTP traffic. We've got a replay here of Riccardi.
Oh,
looks like he tried to turn somebody right there, and he did.
Yeah, Riccardi just got a little clipped there from the rear end as he was covering off a move that was coming in behind him. I'm not sure who that driver was who did the clip, but I believe it was actually, looks like it was, I'm taking a look, I believe it was Arda Iamaki who made that incident, but I could be wrong about that. But taking a look now at Andres Valentus, once again putting pressure on Andre Schuster for the 3rd position. He's tucked in right behind him, and that's Javier Delomo up the road. Javier Delomo has lost a lot of ground to Jack David Spickett due to the traffic, and look at this, Valentus just with a better run through the corner, but he thinks better of it as we head to Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to make a move there. You've got plenty of time to set yourself up down the hanger straight through Stowe. That's going to be a perfect opportunity for Valentus to continue his upward trajectory right now. 17 spots up so far during this short race. As you see on the screen, Hisada with the fastest lap of the race. Valentus tucks in under the rear wing of Schuster, looks to the inside, and he's going to make another quick dispensation of a competitor. This time, it's going to be Schuster going around the corner. So move Valentus, your points leader, to the bottom step of the podium, but Schuster's not going to make it easy for him.
It's like a good marriage, Andres Valentus with the GTO. They know each other's moves. They know how to make each other dance. And look at this, Doug Cloud. Let's see what happens to him on this replay. Big incident ahead of him. And he just a little bit of target fixation. He jives the wrong direction. And that is a huge, huge incident that happened up ahead. I believe that was Juan Jose Suarez and Antonio Alvarez who had that incident. So just a bad incident for them.
Meanwhile, you've got this battle for position between Sintes Galindo and Jacob Reed. Reed in 11th, and Sintes Galindo in 10th. And of course, they're side by side heading into Cops. Move Reed to the top 10 as both of those drivers really not letting one another keep that position for too much longer.
Yeah, Jacob Reed trying to do the last to first challenge, and he's the championship points leader as well for the GTPs. So both of our leaders of our championships doing a last to first challenge today of their own volition. They're not asked to do this, and it's entirely possible Jacob just didn't manage to set a qualifying time. We know that Valentus likes to do the last to first, but with a 27 car field for the GTPs, it's a little bit more stressful for Jacob Reed. But look at this, Jarm Van Hicks currently in a battle with Andreas Schuster, and then we've got Valentus up ahead of them in a battle with Javier Del Olmo.
Yeah, and we're going to see how this GTP handles traffic here as you're seeing the battle for fourth place between Van Hicks and Schuster. Right now, Van Hicks has it. Schuster wants it back. As we go 3 wide down the hangar straight, and that's the little bit of disruption there caused Valentus to lose a little bit of gap between he and Del Olmo. They come down into the corner, nose to tail. Still plenty of time left for Valentus to make his way up to second place. And once he gets that open air, I don't think Spickett is going to be too much long for that lead, as we saw Van Hicks close in on Valentus. Looks like Olmo kind of holding things up just a little bit as they go down the Hamilton straight, but here comes Valentus looking to the inside.
Yeah, Valentus currently, his previous lap was a 209.7 compared to Jack David Spickett's 201.7. Now, with the traffic coming through, this is evened out a little bit between the two of them, and with Valentus tucked in behind, they've now got Cesar Hernandez, who's trying to come through in the GTPs, but the GTOs with a much better run off of that corner with their all-wheel drive machines. But fortunately, Hernandez should be able to get by the time they get to the next corner in the braking zone. Javier Del Olmo is going to have his apex a little bit compromised by Hernandez going through. Fortunately, he's able to hang on to it. And we just saw that replay there.
There goes the replay. All right, so we've got Youngblood. Let's see what happens here as he goes a little bit of a bump on the 10. Coming around the circuit, and looks like a
little bit of a misshift there.
There it is. Yeah.
So easy to do in the GTOs with its ancient gearbox. So easy to misshift, and the drivers behind don't expect it. And he gets sent off into the grass just a little bit, but he's recovered now, and he's currently running in 14th position.
Well, looks like we've got this battle heating up for second in GTO. Del Olmo has it, and Valentus wants it. And of course, Van Hicks is sitting there just in case either of those two make any sort of mistake. Coming onto the hangar straight, nose to tail once again. We saw Valentus make his way through Stowe with a lot of great passes, and he's going to try it once again. Going into Stowe, side-by-side move, Valentus to second place.
No surprise there. Valentus now has 3 seconds up the road to get you Jack David Spickett in 22 minutes to get there. So it's not over yet for Valentus. He still has some work to do. Our GTP leaders have just started cutting through the back of the GTOs, who are a lot more separated at this stage of the race. As far as drivers who are out, we have Juan Jose Suarez, Antonio Alvarez, and Charles Wolfe in the GTPs, and Doug Cloud and Josh Brain in the GTOs right now, who are currently in the pits. Looks like Josh Brain is rolling once again after 6 minutes and 15 of repairs.
Watching this battle for ninth place, Gaudin, you see his in-car right now as he works his way around the track. He's holding off Tringerade, as my screen just decided I'm going to refresh on you, so that's always great. Tringerade and Caello, as well as looks like Bello, also in the mix. So 4-car battle for ninth place as we see that wonderfully painted number 31, Amos Track Guides, Audi, making his way all around the loop and down onto the Wellington straight, nose to tail. Great battle for position here as everybody's trying to figure each other out.
Absolutely. Gaudin trying to hold off against Trangerade. Trangerade tucked in right behind Gaudin. And Trangerade, remember, he's on his recovery drive from that earlier incident. Look at this. Gaudin deep into the corner, couldn't get it turned in. Trangerade's going to take that position easily. That was a little bit of a surprise there. And Sir Calieo behind, having a similar move on Bello.
Yeah, great moves going into Brooklands. And of course, that's what you want to do. You're going to have to do that here. As we see GTP traffic now once again making their way around the GTO traffic. So I think we're going to see another 5 minutes of mayhem as we watch this battle where Van Hicks trying to make his way onto the podium. Once again, he goes to the inside of Del Olmo. He's going to take that position through Stowe. But we're also watching how close Valentus is getting into the rear mirror, I should say, of Spigot.
Looks like Timothy Reed made a little bit of contact with one of our GTO. So I believe it was Paul Armesto who just lost the corner just a little bit coming through club. So Armesto and Timothy Reed just recovering onto the track now. But the battle for 7th position in the GTPs heating up right now between Hennig Schwebig, Fernando Serrato, Seamus Power, and Jacob Reed. Look at them side by side as they cut through. They've got Nick Picanos not far up the road either, so they don't want to lose too much time. Here's Power trying to make a move on Serrato. Serrato makes a move on Schwebig. Schwebig going very deep, and this is Jacob Reed trying to cut through the middle of them in the green and the yellow.
And of course, they're also catching up to GTO traffic, which were locking their brakes going into
4 wide.
2, 3, 4 wide coming down the Hamilton straight.
Plenty of room to do it too, and they get it done coming through the corner. They manage not to make an incident. They come up onto Romain Bello and for Federico Ko, who's they're both having their own battle right now for 11th position in the GTOs, as these drivers are all battling for 7th position in the GTPs. Almost contact between Reed and Callejo as he goes through that corner, but look at it side by side up ahead between Serrato and Schwebig. Schwebig on the inside, Serrato out on the outside, but they've got GTO traffic to contend with, and that's going to make Serrato have to back off. But then Schwebig gets a little bit caught up with Ove Trangerade. He gets a little bit of a nose tap, and that's going to push him out wide. Serrato looking to the inside. Reed looking even further to the inside onto the curbs. All of them nose to stern as they come off and head on to not the Hamilton straight. This is the other straight. The Hanger straight as they come through and they go through the next right-hander. It's still going to be Schwebig from Serrato and Reed.
And now side by side is Reed trying to make another battle just before we get into Maggots and Beckett's. They'll give them a little bit of time to breathe and try and get around some slower GTO traffic. And they're going to be coming out of battle. Oh, Reed gets shut down by the GTO traffic as he loses 2, maybe 3 positions heading down the Hanger straight.
Absolutely. Josh Brain thought that Reed was going to go to the inside, so he opened the door for him, and Reed wanted to go to the outside. So a little bit of miscommunication there means Reed loses a position. He's still got 17 and a half minutes, but he's now pushed out to the outside into the marbles, which now definitely do affect you here on iRacing. Aitor Santos Galindo now breathing down his neck, but traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. Now it giveth as he's got Seamus Power in his clutches, as Seamus is stuck behind Craytrick. Oh, Jacob has to back off a little bit. It's 3 wide as they go down the straightaway this time. As they go across the start-finish line, he's going to have to let Seamus Power go through, as Reed is now going to dip to the inside under braking. Man, he does not let you rest this track nor this series.
No, but there's still plenty of room to make any sort of moves that you need. You can go 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 wide. We haven't seen that yet, but that's still plenty of time left to make that happen, as this is the battle that we've been watching for the top 10. Here's a replay. Looks like Armesto with some issues. Yep, there we go. We've got some GTP traffic, and the number 25 of Reed, that's the Reed Armesto mess that we mentioned a couple of laps ago. Armesto making his way. It looks like Reed has finally made his way back out on the track, albeit a couple laps down.
Absolutely. So Seamus Power now falling back from Jacob Reed. Jacob Reed was up there in that battle with Serrato and Schwebig, and now he's a good 2.5 seconds behind, but there's still traffic to go. These drivers are all up into the battle for the top 5 in the GTOs. They're about to go past Mickey Friesen. Oh my goodness, close stuff. You can see them splitting the GTOs as they go through. Now they're up to the battle for 5th position between Schuster and Olenicek. And they're going to be able to sneak by, but just up ahead, Serrato trying to make a move on Schwebig. Once again, you can see it up the road, and here comes a move from Seamus Power on Jacob Reed. It's going to be tough stuff for all the drivers. Looks like Serrato gets the move done, but Power does not get his move done. Reed hanging on to it just barely, but goes onto the AstroTurf. This is going to allow Power to come back. Oh, and a wreck ahead! Serrato came across the nose of Schwebig into the braking zone, and he ends up in the gravel.
Yeah, you don't want to end up there this late in the race. 15 minutes left to go, and still plenty of great racing action. We're watching the battle for position. This is between Power and Reed. Power in that ninth place, Reed in 8th place, trying to battle in. And of course, also look who's coming to play as well. It's Sintez Galindo as they go through around the GTO traffic, and this is the battle for the lead in GTO. This might help out Valentus as well, as he's now 1.1 seconds behind Spigot in his last first challenge. Here's a replay in the upper right, Adam.
Absolutely, that's what happened to Serrato, just coming across the nose there of Schwebig. So unfortunately for him, he ends up into the grass and has just now recovered. He's back in 16th position, and he's lost a good 10 seconds. So a rough ride for Serrato. So he just made a little bit of a mistake there, coming across the nose of Schwebig, and Schwebig had no impetus to move over for him, unfortunately. So take a look now at Seamus Power, who's going to be in the clutches of Sintez Galindo soon, as Jacob Reed has gone up the road to now have that battle and replace Serrato in that battle with Schwebig.
And we're watching this battle also for position in GTO. The 14 of Valentus has it, wants it, I should say. Schuster has it. This is a great battle that's really been accentuated by the GTPs cutting their way through the circuit. Maggots and Maggots, the scene with those now, as they've got to make sure that the faster GTP traffic gets through. It's about a 15-second difference between GTP and GTO. So, Adam, you've got to make sure that you're giving these drivers a lot of room. Can't be making sudden changes. We haven't seen that out of the GTO traffic yet, but still, it's anybody's race.
The weather has been getting colder ever since we started this race. It started at 73 degrees Fahrenheit on the track. That would be 22 Celsius. It's now down to 21 Celsius or 69 Fahrenheit. And the winds are increasing as well, up from 8 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour out of the northeast. So these track conditions are getting more challenging for these drivers to handle. And you can see that. Look at that. Leneček with a good run off of the corner. He's going to make a good power through this part, and he's trying to force Schuster into a mistake right now. Get right up in Schuster's grill and force Schuster to make a mistake. Schuster, though, a calm character, trying to hold off there.
We're on board with Leneček as he is battling for position. This is to get inside the top 5. A little break clock from Schuster, but as they work their way around Aintree and into the Wellington Straight, still could be nose to tail going down the straight. And of course, that's where we've seen a lot of moves made. As we're getting reports that the fog, Adam, is starting to roll in, so visibility might be an issue. As Leneček goes to the inside, uses the GTP traffic to get into the top 5, but Schuster says not so easy as they make their way onto the old GP front straight.
Oh, and Leneček tries to get the nose pointed. He's able to get a good run off the corner, but he misshifts, and that's going to allow Schuster to shoot forward. So once again, the gearbox falling afoul of another driver now. And unfortunately for Leneček, that was a good opportunity, and he cuts the inside of that corner and does not pick up a course-cutting penalty. So fortunately for him, he's still going to be able to go forward. But now into Maggots and Beckett's, he knows that he's lost that opportunity. He's going to have to size it up again.
Still plenty of time to size it up going down into the hangar straight. Stozel, a place where we've seen a lot of passes, as Jacob Reed really trying to get up through the front of the pack. 142.8, his fastest lap so far. But this is the battle we're watching for the top 5 in GTO, as Leneček trying to go high, wide, and handsome there, side by side, rubbing fenders left and right. Leneček not able to get that 5th spot, but he's got another position heading into club as he dives deep, hangs that left-hander and sets him up for the right-hander. Schuster has the line through the right-hander of club. Almost a through goes Hamilton as they go down the Hamilton straight. Leneček stays in 6th for now.
Jeremy, I think that Toko Hisada has some damage. We're watching Leneček make this move and sneak his way by Schuster, and he finally gets it done. But I can report our leader in the GTPs is very slow compared to Cal Young and Farron Grau in the also the GTPs. Look at this, still side by side, and the lead of the GTPs changing hands as we watch.
Look at this, just side by side for the lead. Move Cal Young up to the point so far, but Hisada, he's defending back. That damage that he has really is not affecting him for that lead, but I think that he might be falling back even further as Grau goes to the inside going into club. He's going to think better of it, though. They're nose to tail top 3 overall as Young will come down the Hamilton straight and officially take the lead, but Grau looks like that he'll also have Wells behind him as Hisada flashes the lights as a little bit of distraction to Young.
Yeah, I think Hisada has some aero damage on the left side of that machine, and it's affecting his straight line speed by about 5 to 10 mile per hour, and that can be a lot over the course of a race. Jacob Reed with the fastest lap. He's currently in 7th position, 11 seconds behind our leaders with 10 minutes to go. That's a tall order, and unless these drivers get very much held up by traffic, which can happen, I don't think Jacob's going to be completing the last of first challenge today, but it'll be interesting to see how high he can get. But Farron Grau right on the back of Toka Hisada, and that aero damage should be mitigated a little bit by having Cal Young up ahead that he can draft off of.
Oh, that last of first challenge for GTO is under assault as Valentus under the rear wing of Spicket going through club down into the Hamilton straight. So it took almost a half hour for Valentus to get up to close to the point. Let's see if he can get around Spicket. Getting up to Spicket was one thing. Passing him is absolutely another. Spicket making his way off the corner a little bit faster as they go into Village, and they'll head through the loop down the Wellington Straight. But look at this battle. Look at this battle for GTP. Third place is Hisada as Grau makes his way up to second.
Absolutely, Farron Grau passing Hisada up to second position. Hisada trying to put a good defense on, and he's actually making it so that Jack Wells can get in and the lead of the GTOs. Now we're going to put it picture in picture because these are all important battles as we see that's going to be Grau getting held up by the GTO as Valentus makes the move on Jack David Spicket as he had the line. So Valentus up to the lead of this race as Toka Hisada now falls behind Jack Wells. But on the picture-in-picture, Jack David Spicket trying to put a challenge on to Valentus through the first set of through the next set of corners, but can't quite do it. Hisada's damage has turned him from a 3-second leader into a driver who's just trying to hang on to the car on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, going out of the Wellington Straight, he had a little bit of a wiggle, but Valentus looked like he had a great pass around Woodcott, and that's not normally a place where you would see a pass. Now let's see how big Valentus can open that gap, but let's watch this battle for GTP, as Hisada will have Garita on his rear wing here shortly if he's not there already. Saw a little bit of dust being picked up by one of the GTO cars, but Hisada going from first to fourth in just a couple of laps.
Jack David Spicket going for that move once again. He's staying right on the back of Valentus. He actually backs off and goes for the wider line on Valentus due to Hernandez taking away the apex from Valentus. So a good opportunity here for Spicket, but unfortunately he opened the corner up just a little bit too much. He's going to lose speed going on to the Hamilton Straight. So Valentus up to the lead of the race. He finally leads a lap with 7 minutes to go. Jacob Reed, I can report, is still 11.5 seconds behind our leaders in the GTPs. Cal Young has run away from Farron Grau to the tune of 2.5 seconds up at the front of the field. Jacob Reed still trying to get past Nick Picanos.
Yeah, and Spickett's still in the mirrors of Valentus, but let's see how this GTP traffic holds through going down onto the Wellington Straight. Again, this is the battle for GTO. We're also keeping our eye on the GTP battle for second place as Young has opened up a 3-second gap already. There's Picanos in 7th place. He's trying to catch up to Reed, who actually has been running long in fast lap after fast lap. Reed starting last, trying to get up to 5th place. As GTO traffic, I should say, holding him up as Picanos looks to the inside.
Yeah, Picanos just getting passed by Reed coming on to the Hamilton Straight. So unfortunately for Picanos, falling back to 7th, but there's not much you could do against the fastest driver in the GTP. But the lead of the GTOs, Jack David Spicket wants that maiden victory so badly. He wants it so badly. He's not going to let Valentus go. with 6 minutes to go. He's going to stay attached to the back of Valentus and try and put as much pressure on him as possible, but Valentus has never been phased by a driver in his rearview mirror, and that's not going to start today. But the question is, can Jack David Spickett make a move that surprises Valentus? Going to the outside won't be the surprise that Valentus won't be expecting. But Jack David Spickett tries the over-under. Valentus just parks it on the apex.
Well, Valentus has made so many moves going into Stowe. That's no surprise that he was holding that inside line. Let's see what happens here going through Club and onto the Hamilton straight. You're on board with Spickett. Second place in GTO. And look at Valentus just opening up that gap, just coming onto the Hamilton straight. And, of course, got some more GTP traffic behind. But look at this battle for position through Club.
Contact between the two of them going into the corner, and that meant that that pushes Hisada quite wide. A little bit of frustration on the radio coming from Guardia due to that contact. They go streaking by Friesen and now by Schuster, and then they're going to approach Olenicek as well. And all of these drivers trying to duke it out. You can see Jack Wells on the back of Farron Grau as well for second position in the GTPs, as that's Olenicek getting pushed wide by Hisada and Guardia going by.
So a lot of great battles here in GTP. Might be too little too late for the battle for the lead, but still Hisada doing all he can to stay within the top 5. While you take a look at the gap between Hisada and Reed, 4 minutes left, 3 seconds between the two of them. But with Hisada's damage, it's still not impossible for Reed to get his way into the top 5. Here's Spickett trying to keep tabs on Valentus. We've seen the first challenger make his way to the lead just minutes ago. Maggots and Beckett's are the two places where they are starting to get into a little bit of tap of the brakes from Valentus. And of course, we'll see how tight Valentus takes Stowe, as that's where a lot of his passes are made. There goes some of the GTP traffic making their way. Oh, Spickett, he's reeling them in. And Spickett setting up for a pass on the outside of Stowe. Always tough to do in normal conditions. We've seen Hisada going wide to the outside, side by side for the battle.
Oh, contact!
Oh, Hisada spins to the back, but we're still watching this battle for GTO as Spickett trying to make himself back into the lead, but Valentus, he's seen this script before. He knows how it goes through Club.
Hisada recovers back to 9th position, but that car just stopped behaving like it wants to. This is the story of the day. Can anyone beat Valentus? So the question is it going to be Jack David Spickett? Toka Hisada looks like he's going to park it for the day, unfortunately, as we get Jacob Reed, who inherits that 5th position, going by. Jacob up to the 5th spot. Look at this. Valentus trying to be defensive against Spickett. Almost puts a bottle onto Nick Bakanos. They've got Henning Schwabig tucked in behind them as well. As I can report that Emerson Gaudin has just made it past over Tringer, as Tringerade had a little bit of a misshift himself, so he's now back to 10th position. Is Tringerade Gaudin up to 9th? And look at this. Jack David Spickett just keeping tabs on Valentus. 2 minutes, 40 to go. Cal Young crossing the line now. It's going, well, actually, he's about half of the way through the lap, so I'm guessing it's going to be about 3 to go.
Well, Power kind of hurt that GTO lead right there. Is a little bit of a bigger gap. Spickett has lost to Valentus, as we saw Power going to the inside of Spickett into Brooklands. Now let's see how much more is left in those tires as they go down through Cops, and they'll head their way towards Maggots and back. That's where we've seen Spickett catch up, but through Stowe in the Hangar Straight is where Valentus is closed off the corner, making it a lot harder for Spickett to try and get that GTO lead back.
And Spickett's doing exactly what I talk about a lot of drivers don't do. Look at this battle. 3 wide, 4 wide. Mickey Friesen in a battle with Andreas Schuster. There's some of the GTPs streaking by. That's Daniel Gomez, Laus Stolson, Fernando Serrato, and Brendan Lim, who are all tucked in under 1 second as they go on to the straightaway. My goodness. And that is the spinning Gabri Martinez, who's off to the side, causing a little bit of chaos and breaking up the battle.
So a lot of great battles here with just under 90 seconds left, I should say, in this race. Serrato in 13th place, trying to hold on to that position as we are closing in on the end of this race. Could be the final lap as everybody goes on to the Hamilton straight for the penultimate time. Oh, one car spun off into the gravel.
Yeah, car spinning off into the gravel, now finally recovering. Look at this, Fernando Serrato trying to hunt down Laust Olsen for that 12th position. I'm keeping my eyes on Cal Young to see whether or not this is the final lap for him. He's just about to go into the Maggott and Beckett sequence for himself. He's got 5 seconds over Farron Grau, so he definitely took advantage of Togo Hisada having his issues. So Fernando Serrato, here comes the traffic. Here comes the traffic that could cause a little bit of an issue. Laust Olsen gets a little bit loose on the inside. Serrato going around the outside. Serrato is going to have Laust Olsen bottled up, but then it's going to switch over to him getting bottled up and makes a little bit of contact with Laust as he goes through the corner. Tough stuff for him.
I was about to say, that's a great move by Serrato, using that GTO as a pick. We haven't seen too much of that as they work their way through the GTO lead.
And this is going to be it, I believe, for Cal Young. We're coming down to it, and this is going to be it. Cal Young's going to come off of the final quarter and take advantage of Togo Hisada's woes. Cal Young wins in the GTP class.
And of course, battle for second place as Grau's going to take it. Wells is going to do the gentlemanly thing and hold off and take third place. So that rounds out your podium. Here's a battle with Olsen. And so should say Olsen and Gomez as they come around onto off the hanger straight through Stowe into Vale and through Club. We've seen a lot of moves through Club today. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle by Olsen.
Olsen, a little bit of a wiggle. Is that going to go open the door for Serrato to make the move as they come out of the corner? The answer is no. Now we need to go to our leaders at the GTOs. Andres Valentus and Jack David Spickett. Jack tried and tried, but just couldn't get back to the rear bumper. Valentus lost the first success again.
What a fantastic battle there with Valentus Spickett. Got to give a lot of hand to Jack David Spickett as he tried and tried. But look at Van Hicks finishing off in third place. I think it was Valentus that decided to pull off and do some donuts there, freezing in seventh. But you got to give the award of the race as we see Tringerade trying to hold on to that top 10 with his damaged car.
Absolutely, Tringer trying to hold on to the top 10. Emerson Gaudin trying to hang on to 9th position. Romain Bello looking for a top 10 if he can. A little bit of a sliding Felipe Diaz going through the corner. He's going to re-enter just ahead of these drivers and hold them up. And that's going to put a bottle on Gaudin. Trangerade backs off. He doesn't want to take the position that way. It's going to be Gaudin 9th, Trangerade 10th, Romain Bello 11th.
Wow, talk about a little bit of a tense ending there as we saw the GTP slide off. Here's Messenger making his way around the circuit for the final time, and he'll finish off in 13th place. Callejo also finishing in 14th, but that was actually not too hectic of a race, depending on who you ask. We saw a lot of passes there, Adam, as we get the final standings coming up.
Absolutely. A great race today out there. A lot of stories to be told. Cal Young takes the win over Farron Grau, but it wasn't on pure pace today. Toga Hisada had the pace of the field, but collected some damage in the last quarter of the race, which left him susceptible to Young and Grau. And then we have Grau in second position, 4.5 seconds back with Jack Wells in third. Raul Roches Guardi is going to finish in fourth with Jacob Reed in fifth position after starting in 24th spot. Nick Bakanos is going to finish off in sixth position, just outside the top five, and Henrik Schwabik having some incidents with a couple of drivers today, finishing off in seventh. A good finish for him. Seamus Power, very consistent out there, falls back a couple of positions from his normal consistency in eighth spot with Heitor Santos Galindo in ninth, and Ardo Iamaki rounding out the top 10. And then we've got Daniel Gomez and Laust Olsen, Fernando Serrato, Brendan Lim, Matthew Cockrum, Gabri Martinez, and Andre Felipe Diaz, as well as Cesar Hernandez and Francisco Collado, who's going to finish off the top lap one drivers. And then we have Luis Soto Rivera, Davide Ricciardi, Timothy Reed, and Togo Hisada. Togo, the first driver to not finish the race. Then it's Juan Jose Suarez, Antonio Alvarez, and Charles Wolf rounding out your GTP field.
Let's take a look at the GTOs. Worst to first for Andres Valentus. He is your winner over Jack David Spickett. 0.3 of a second at the line separate the two of them. Van Hicks rounds out your podium. Then it's Javier Del Olmo, Krzysztof Olenjak, and Andreas Schuster. Taking a look at seventh, Mickey Friesen with a good showing there. Martin Krajcik sits in eighth, ninth to Gaudin, 10th to Romain Bello. That rounds out your top 10 as we take a look at 11th through 20th. Fabian Youngblood, followed by Hugh Messenger. Also had Federico Callejo and Brandon White in 14th. Ove Trengerade, who had such a great race, ended up falling back to 15th. Mika Tupola, followed by Martin Enrique Rivera in 17th. 18th, the Pau Armesto, who got caught up in a GTP incident. Josh Brain and Doug Cloud rounding out your top 20.
47 drivers out there today, quite a few DNFs, but not that much chaos, to be honest with you, over the course of this race. But Jeremy, what are your thoughts heading out of this one? There was a lot of stories going on, but Valentus still managed last to first, and given a little bit of a smaller field, so would have Jacob Reed. A little bit of a surprise to see both of them do it today, but still good racing out there.
It was great racing. It's a shame to see Togo Hosada end his race with some sort of damage, but I've got to say the drivers had a lot of breathing room because they're not dealing with they weren't dealing with the bull ring, as we're starting to see highlights of this race. And it was a great battle no matter where you looked. You had plenty of races. Unfortunately, Trangerade, we were qualifying up near the front and ended his race essentially early on.
And we do have Aitor Santos Galindo finishing P9, top 10 for Aitor. Aitor, this looked like a challenging race for everybody. The track was a little bit of a challenge. The weather was a little bit of a challenge. And with this many cars, the traffic was a little bit of a challenge as well. But compared to the last couple weeks, what do you think about the race?
Well, absolutely. Yeah. First off, it's glad to be back on the Nissan. It's been 10 weeks. But yeah, I'm still a bit rusty, and I made a mistake on the last corner. Well, I thought I could make it back, but then the dirty air and all the traffic, made it very difficult to pass. I thought I could have the pace, but unfortunately I couldn't. So it's a shame, but I'm still happy with the result. Happy with the fights I had with Seamus and Matsukar. It's been a fun race altogether, and happy result all around.
And next week we head over to Fuji, which is a very different track. I think we've raced it twice at this stage. How different is that from the last couple of bull rings we've had and this track of Silverstone?
Well, it's gonna be interesting because if I recall correctly, the iRacing fixed the bump that was on the middle of the track on the no chicane section, and that's a very reassuring thing because the Nissans struggle a lot with that bump and always lose the car there. And yeah, looking forward to that and see it's corrected. And also, it's a very Grand Prix track. I think it's very wide and lots of braking. I think it's going to be easier to overtake than this Silverstone. So, and definitely much easier with the traffic than Limebrook Park or the other bull ring, which I don't remember. But yeah, altogether, I think it's going to be an interesting race to see. Let's see if I will race next week. But still, happy. Let's see how it works for next week.
And Aitor, you mentioned in passing, but this was your first race of the season. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
And did it feel any different than previous seasons as far as the field and the competition out there today?
Let's be honest, it was very tight. Part of the reason I was actually making break is because the field was super strong in terms of pace, and it was also super tight, super strong. IMSA Vintage has now very big names on terms of challenge and speed. So yeah, it's a very different let's say time than was 2-3 years ago with 30 cars, and I was the number 3 in our rating with 4K. So I'm now the 23. So yeah, definitely changed for the best, which I think is a good thing for all together. So yeah, it's a different season. It's but much better season, much more challenging. Very happy with the incident.
Well, Aitor, a 9th place finish, a pretty good finish considering the field today. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
As usual, thanks guys for the interview, broadcast. family, friends are watching, IMSA Vintage community. I always have it to say it's still the old name. But yeah, thanks guys, and yeah, see you next week at Noxious Legend.
That was Aitor Sintes Galindo, who finished in 9th place in the GTP class, and that's going to wrap us up for today. Thank you to the team today, Jeremy, Daniel, Christian, and Dougie. And make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss out on a moment here on GSRC. As was mentioned, the next race is going to be Fuji. That's 40 minutes as well. That's February 22nd at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next up on GSRC, however, is tomorrow. That's the European Major Series Daytona 500. That's tomorrow at 11 Eastern. And don't miss the other upcoming races that are also shown here on your screen. We hope you've enjoyed joining us today as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you, and we hope to see you back again soon. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.